Baker Mayfield will go down as the biggest mistake in Cleveland Brown history. And that's saying something because the Browns have a history of making a lot of mistakes. And also because of the Deshaun Watson deal. All right, let's get into it. So Baker Mayfield right now, he's having a career year with the Bucs. He's having his best year in the NFL while the Browns are contending for the first pick again. The Browns told him, hey, we're going to ship you out of town. We want you out of here because we want Deshaun Watson. He's so much better than you. He's such an amazing quarterback. We're going to give him the most money guaranteed. We don't want you doing commercials anymore in our stadium. We don't want you anywhere near us, Baker. That's what they told him. And Baker said, that's fine. That's fine. First, he struggled a little bit, went to the Rams, went to the Panthers, struggled a bit. But then he found somebody that wanted him, somebody that built around him. And he's having the two best years of his career the last 2 years. This year, this is Baker's stats. 39 touchdowns and 15 interceptions, 4,279 yards. Last game against the Carolina Panthers, he had 5 touchdowns, career high, 5 touchdowns, 359 yards, no interceptions. Now, can any of you guys tell me when's the last time a Cleveland Browns quarterback did that? I'll wait. Oh, nobody knows because I don't think that it's happened in forever, maybe 20 years, maybe ever. You know, it's really ridiculous that the Browns decided, hey, I don't think this guy is any good, even though we drafted him number 1 and we kept firing all his coaches and firing all his offensive coordinators and never having any stability. And then he didn't really have the most talent around him in the world. I mean, he had some talent, but you're trying to overcome an organization that's been losing for the last, 50 years, 60 years? So it's going to be hard. You have to be very generational talent, transcendent player. And Baker's showing that he is that. He just needed some time to develop. These teams are so greedy with getting the guys out right away. If they don't start as a rookie first game, then, it's going to be terrible. But the thing about Baker is, you remember they started Tyrod Taylor over them, and then Hugh Jackson called him in and told him, you won the backup job. That's when I knew that his time in Cleveland was a joke. In his time in Cleveland, it was gonna be difficult for him to succeed there. And then they fired Hugh Jackson and they hired another coach and they fired the offense coordinator and they hired another coach. And it's just like, who can have success in that? But you look now at the last 2 years of Baker Mayfield and you see 39 touchdowns this year, 15 interceptions, 4,279 yards, still has a game left. Last year, he had 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, made the playoffs, and won his division. This year, he's 1 win away from making the playoffs and winning his division again, 2 years in a row. And that's with Mike Evans missing multiple games, Chris Godwin going out halfway in the year, with the season-ending injury. And then the defense has been banged up all year. And what have we seen from the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson? This is Deshaun Watson's stats this year. 1,148 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And then, I'm a Florida State fan, so my guy Jabu, my guy Jameis got in the game. We saw him have one good game against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. He had his moment. And then he went back to being Jameis, where he was just throwing picks after picks after picks. And then they put in DTR, and DTR hasn't done anything either, while you have Baker out here having a career year. But let's get back to Deshaun. So this is Deshaun's stats in 2023 with Cleveland. Now, all this on a huge deal that they're giving him. He's taking up most of their salary cap, and it's fully guaranteed. And this is what he gave you in 2023. 1,115 yards, 7 TDs, 4 interceptions. And then in 2022, you think it was any better? No, just as bad, actually even worse. 1,102 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So you got rid of Baker Mayfield, the guy who gave you your only playoff win in 20 plus years, the guy who had 27 touchdowns and 14 interceptions as a Cleveland Brown, The guy who also another year had 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions with the Cleveland Browns. And you gave him up. Why? Okay, let's go back and let's remember what happened. So they thought that they were supposed to be winning multiple playoff games and that they were this championship competing team because they brought in who of all people? Washed up OBJ. Team obliterator OBJ. OBJ, the guy who thinks that he's still OBJ who caught the one-handed catch. But if you look at OBJ's career, he had 3 good years. And ever since then, he's been hurt. And all he does is cry, cry, cry. And he's really not that good of a receiver. He was before the injuries, but after the injuries, he's not. And now he's not even on a team, and he's still, these are my teams that I would like to go to. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to sign you. You're super, super, super washed. Like, come on. So, all right, we're going back in history. So OBJ's dad, his dad, posted a video of the film of the game, of Cleveland Browns game, like multiple games. I think somebody else made the video. And he went on to say, like, all the times that Baker Mayfield missed OBJ and that all the times OBJ was open and why he couldn't get him the ball and all this and how horrible it was and that, you know, his son was getting misused and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So what ends up happening? They end up trading OBJ to the Rams. He ends up winning a Super Bowl, but he got hurt in the Super Bowl again because always hurt. He was having a great game, though. And ever since that day, his career has gone completely downhill. He's not been the same. And we saw even in Cleveland, he wasn't that dynamic. And then in the Rams, before he got hurt, he wasn't that dynamic. He was good, but he wasn't OBJ from before. He wasn't a top 10, 15 wide receiver. And you let that sway you guys, or because Deshaun Watson became available because he had a lot of allegations going on, it's just like the decision-making by the Browns organization is just baffling. It just makes no sense. You had a guy in Baker Mayfield who had multiple commercials there, who was big into the community, who loved the Cleveland Browns and gave them 110%, and they traded that all for a guy like a Deshaun Watson who didn't even want to be in Cleveland. If you remember, he said no to getting traded to Cleveland, and the only reason why he went to Cleveland is because they offered him that monumental, fully guaranteed contract, the only one in NFL history, and he had to take it. He had to take that generational wealth money. You know, he had to. But now looking back, this has been the worst decision in Browns history. Baker Mayfield is a dark horse MVP candidate this year. 39 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. You have to give him some looks for MVP. And he's about to win his division. He's having a great year. And his team is not the most talented team. Let's not act like this is the Bucs, the year that Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. No, this team has lost a lot of guys from the Super Bowl teams. And they have a lot of young guys in. They had a lot of injuries this year. And what does Baker do? He leads his guys to wins. He goes and plays hard every game. Every game. And, you know, the Cleveland fan base, they're the dog pound. They're tough. It's up north. It's cold. We're tough. We're physical. You know, Baker fit that perfectly. And instead, you choose Massage Boy, Deshaun Watson, who doesn't fit Cleveland at all. He doesn't fit that atmosphere. He doesn't fit that toughness. He doesn't fit that grit. He didn't even play in the cold. He played in Clemson in college, which is not cold, South Carolina. Then he played for Houston, the Texans in the pros, which is not cold. Not like, you know, up north cold. And that's who you chose. And what did he give you? He's given you, in 3 years, he's given you 17 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. In 3 years. That's 5.5 touchdowns a year. Or let's say 6. Let's give him the one extra touch. So that's 6 touchdowns a year. That's absolutely horrible. For a starting quarterback in the NFL, that's absolutely horrible. And on the other hand, Baker's just gotten better and better and better. And you're going to have to watch out now. Baker will definitely make the Pro Bowl this year. He could be an all-pro. A lot of quarterbacks are having good years this year. I would vote for him. But he's going to go make the playoffs again. Last year, he won a playoff game. This year, I think he'll win. If he gets in, Their team's rolling. They're getting some more guys back. They're healthy. I think he'll win another playoff game. And Cleveland is going to sit there fighting for the number one pick, watching him from home, watching on the couch. Wow, what we could have had. This is our biggest mistake ever. We gave up on Baker Mayfield after a few years when he gave us blood, sweat, tears. He gave us his whole heart. And we decided, no, we would rather take this other guy off potential or whatever they thought. And it just was a horrible decision. And I'm happy for Baker Mayfield. He got the last laugh. His career's looking really amazing. He has chances to, win a Super Bowl, win an MVP the way he's going right now. And I'm just really excited for his career. And I don't even feel bad for the Browns because I feel bad for their fans because the ownership group is just so horrible. I remember the fans not wanting Deshaun Watson. They were not happy, excited about the move. So I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming the organization. I'm blaming the owners. It's on them. All right, guys. Let me know what you think. Is this Cleveland's biggest mistake ever? All right, guys. I'm out.